Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Nerdy Rich here on the Nerdy Rich channel. So, I have to do this call to action. I know, it's annoying. Another YouTuber telling us that I know. Before you even start watching whatever video this is, whether the gameplay, reviews, what if, whatever the topic is, please go and subscribe. Subscribing is super important. It's free. You just hit the button, you hit all, and then whenever I drop a new video, you will see it, because it's a great way for you guys to see my content. Especially, I'm gonna be growing a lot throughout the new year, and I would love for you guys to be there for my journey at this YouTube channel. So I will definitely see you guys in the new year. So comment, rate, like the video, share the video with everybody, and What is up, everybody? It's your boy Nerdy Rich here, back on the Nerdy Rich channel. Star Wars Return of the Jedi. Of course, this is the third and final film of the original trilogies. And what do I think about the movie? So let's get into the story first. So the story is after the event of the last movie. So spoilers for the last movie. We found out that Vader and Luke are father and son. Han Solo does get captured by Vader, and he is sent to Jabba's palace. Who we found out in the first movie that Han was working for Jabba, but he couldn't pay him, so that's the reason why he did the job with to Luke to go find Leia, because obviously Leia is a princess, so he can pay her and stuff like that. But of course, a lot of stuff happened in the last movie, so now he's going back to Jabba's palace. So Luke, Leia, Lando, and Chewbacca are all trying to get Han back from Jabba, so they go to Jabba's palace. They had that whole big scene in the palace, and then they eventually was able to get him back. After that, Luke's new master is, that is of course Yoda, and of course Yoda continued with his Yoda gives him some final words of wisdom and stuff like that. Finally give him the last piece of detail he needed, because obviously Luke still doesn't understand everything. So of course eventually that leads into Luke returning back to the rebels, and then go to finally defeat the Empire once and for all. And of course in this one you have the Emperor, the Sith Lord himself, finally get introduced, and he's like set up a new Death Star after they blew up the first one in the first one. And of course he asks Vader to try to get Luke to join their side, the dark side, because obviously to get Luke, they will be unstoppable. There will be nobody left in the galaxy that can stop him, since Yoda is dead, Obi-Wan is dead, like all the big heavy hitters are dead at the time. And of course we know from the other TV shows and games and stuff, there's way more other Jedis out there too that's still running around. But for the context of just the movies, if they get Luke, they win. There's literally nobody that can stop them. And of course, there's so many iconic moments. The throne room scene alone is one of the best scenes in like cinema to me, because there's just so many great dialogue moments. There's great fights in there. There's so many great things happen with that. And of course, you have the rebels who are going to the planet where they have the where the control to the Death Star is, and they need to take that out in order for them to have a chance to defeat the Death Star. And of course they meet with the Ewoks and that whole thing. That's the part of the movie I don't like. I don't like the Ewok talk. Even after all these years, I still don't like it. It's just so unnecessary. They could have just had to go to the planet, find a bunch of soldiers and stuff, and then eventually do get to the point when they need to blow up that machine so that they can finally defeat the Empire and stuff like that. That would have been perfectly fine. But of course they had that. It was just so goofy and unnecessary. I do like a lot of the dialogues in here. I like that the characters get more chances to talk, and of course reveals are finally finally able to happen between characters that needed to get revealed earlier. There's a lot of good things, but overall, out of the three, this is my least favorite movie, because again, there's a lot of great stuff. The Jabba scene is great, the throne room is great to see, but just that Ewok stuff and just how the war ends, I don't like. I like everything that leads into Luke stuff that ends the war is fine. It makes perfect sense. But everything on the planet that sets up that moment, set up everything that happens, I just don't like. But overall, a decent film. It's my least favorite out of the three original. But again, if you like this movie, like you gonna like the movie. Anyway, so Luke Skywalker and Return of the Jedi. So Luke Skywalker in this movie is my favorite version of the character. I like that he's now become the Jedi Master that Obi-Wan and Yoda wanted him to become, after having many years of fighting in this war, seeing everything that goes on. Of course, spoilers for the last movie, he found out that Vader is his father, so now he's trying to figure out a way to get Vader back onto the good side, and not continue being manipulated and controlled by the Emperor. And I like that throughout this movie, we get to see him actually trying his best to get Vader to turn back into the cursed person that he originally was. And I like that he's just a very confident character. Just the way he walks and moves, you can feel like he's very confident in himself now. He's no longer that same brash and wild kid he once was, just trying to do everything as fast as possible. He takes his time and he actually learns from his mistakes. And I like that he is the reason why, the throne room scene happens and why it goes so well for them. It's because he is able to see the good in people, especially Vader, and it ends up paying off. And I like that he still has great moments with Leia and Han, and really shows that they are still great friends. Even though they do argue and bicker with each other, they are still great friends. They have so many badass moments, from the Jabba the Hutt scene, the final fight in the throne room scene. There's just so many iconic moments he has throughout this entire film, and they really do a great job with fleshing them out. He feels like a fleshed out character, and of course that's why I also wish that they can make a Clone Wars series with these characters, so we can see more of what Luke and the rest of them were doing throughout the years leading into Empire Strikes Back, and then of course eventually they could lead up to Return of the Jedi and stuff like that. That would be very interesting. But of course, that's all I really gotta say about Luke. Next, of course, we gotta go over with Han. Han, once again, after the events of the last movie, with spoilers, he does get frozen. Of course, they were eventually able to get him back once they fought Jabba and able to take him out. So Han throughout this movie is basically the same character he was before. He's a sweet talker, smuggler, friend, big brother, everything you can think of. And I like that, he's a little bit more jealous in this movie, because the last time he saw Luke, Luke and Leia had that big kiss scene, but then of course he finds out what everybody else found out, and he gets over that, and then he of course plays a big part in the final battle to ultimately win at the end. And he's just still such a good character. I mean, he doesn't grow that much, but he's still a great character. Next is of course Princess Leia. Not really much change about her either. She's just still the same badass we all know. She's always going to get into the fight. I like that Luke does tell her about what happened with Vader, and then she finally comes to grip of, the relationship between the two. And I like that, she does decide to stick with Han, which makes perfect sense. I'm glad that they did that. And I like that she does still play a leadership role, and that she's always trying to help out in the front lines as well. And she's still just a cool character. Literally, she just stays cozy the entire time. Next, of course, we got Yoda does appear briefly in this movie, just to have one final conversation with Luke. And of course, he pushes Luke to finally become the Jedi he always was meant to be. And of course, Obi-Wan as well comes back for little small moments here and there to push him to become the Jedi he becomes as well. And of course, he has the final scene at the end. And yeah, this is not really much to say about those two. Those two just come in for quick cameos and then they leave, and then that's really it. Next, of course, we have the Emperor. So the Emperor is finally here. He is now fully in the movie. He's trying to create a second Death Star because the first one got blown up in the first movie. And of course, he's very pissed off at Vader about that. And I like that we do get to see why Vader is so afraid of him. and why no matter how many times, which we learn in other mediums and stuff, Vader tried to attack him and try to take over, he could never do it because of his looming presence, to the point where Vader's talking to Luke multiple times. He's like, you cannot defeat the Emperor, he's too powerful, I can't even do it, so how are we supposed to do it? And of course the iconic throne room happened. I like throughout the whole thing he's trying to convince Luke to become his next apprentice, because he sees that Luke has way more potential and can become even more stronger of a Jedi than Vader ever was. And that's what I really love about him, his manipulation. And of course how he goes out in the movie is still probably one of the funniest deaths in film, but it's definitely great. Of course, Vader in this movie is the best version of Vader. I like that he does finally get a chance to really express his feelings and everything. We get to learn who he was when he was a Jedi, and we get to learn his name and everything. I like that throughout the entire movie, Luke is trying to convince him to go back to the good side of the Force. Not listen to the Emperor and just trying to become the man that he was always meant to be. And I like that throughout the film, it's always him conflicted with his two sides of himself. And I like that he plays a big moment in the final battle with the Emperor to ultimately help end the war. And of course, he just has a lot of iconic moments, iconic lines, and of course he still gets to fight Luke at the end. And I just love, he's just always battling with himself, but they really do a great job with it. But at the end of the day, this is still a good film. Still my third favorite out of the three, but I really do enjoy this one a lot. This is easily one of the best trilogies in film. I mean, every movie is good. It's not a truly bad film. They really do a great job, and I love the conclusion of every character in here. If they would have made nothing else with these characters, I would have been perfectly fine. But of course, we know they do make the sequel trilogy, which we will be talking about those once we get into those. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Comment, rate, subscribe as always. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.